I always said when I retired from work I was going to volunteer with the animals.
I have been a volunteer here for 11 years, starting out with dog walking and then for 10 and a half years doing laundry.
I've been volunteering for 2 years and I only do laundry, lots of laundry.
I foster kittens and puppies at my house.
I volunteer at the ReTails Thrift Store. I am a foster parent and I also do enrichment here at the shelter.
I became a volunteer at the shelter because we were looking for the new dogs to replace the ones that we had lost.
I was retired and I was doing nothing basically. And I met a couple of people who had worked at the Humane Society. I've always had cats and dogs and I love them dearly, and so I thought I would give it a try. So I came in, had a little bit of training and started to work, and that's been probably the best part of 9 months ago now.
I've always had animals. My daughter always called me the crazy cat lady because at one point I had 5 cats, and it whittled down to just one. And a year ago, the old one, he was 18 years old, he passed away, and I wasn't ready to get another cat. So it's like, well, this is a great way to get my kitty fix and do something good. So I volunteered.
I wanted a dog and I kept coming back and not finding one dog that wanted to adopt me. So I thought, well, if I volunteer at the Humane Society, I would find a dog that I really wanted. And I came home with a cat, and I'm volunteering 11 years later.
I've always felt it was important to help animals, and after I retired I had the time finally and I was able to volunteer, so this is where I came.
It was 4, maybe 5 years ago. My daughter was a teen volunteer here, and she came home and she was just asking if we could start fostering kittens, and I was kind of hesitant at first. I just thought, oh, we're just going to get too attached and we're just going to want to keep them all. But I finally gave in. I said, okay, we can foster. And so we got our first litter, and it was just so much fun, and so we just kept going from there.
I had the opportunity to meet with some of the staff and volunteer down here, and they gave me an insight as to how this shelter works, which is so much different than any other place that I'd seen.
My husband and I lost our 2 dogs within 3 months of each other, and I became obsessed with a dog I found on the website. It was in foster, and the team behind this foster dog was just amazing to me.
I started out volunteering in the linen department, which I liked, but then somehow I gravitated towards holiday. So now another volunteer, Kathy, and I do all of the holiday donations here.
I like to walk around the cages and see which of the cats needs a hug. You know, and it's just a nice thing, a nice way for me to start the day. And then I'm assigned some cages to clean, so I clean the cages, change the kitty litter. I'm a real expert in cat poop now.
Shake out their beds, pet, hug, and we do that for all of them in the cattery and in the colonies. So there's 4 colonies, and we do whichever ones we can, and then I usually go do the dishes while he's mopping the floors.
Well, so it always starts off with getting an email just saying, hey, there's a litter of kittens or puppies that need to be fostered, you know, is anyone available? And if I don't currently have a litter, then, you know, I'll say that I can do it, and I just come to the shelter and pick them up. Both puppies and kittens can go up for adoption at 8 weeks. Kittens, they have to be just over 2 pounds, and then they're big enough for surgery. So of course they won't go up for adoption unless they've been spayed and neutered. Puppies, I'm sure, probably have a weight restriction, but they're always huge, so it's never a problem.
My dogs get away with anything. They basically do whatever they want to. But with the foster dogs, I try to make sure I adjust them and work with them on things that I know other people may want. Like perhaps they don't want them on the furniture, or They want them to be a little calmer when they get up in the morning, or things like that, walk a little bit nicer.
The amount of training that you get here is incredible, and they encourage it, and we would all encourage you to take it as well. Every opportunity that you get just enriches your life too. If you're not able to work with the animals directly in the beginning, don't let that stop you from volunteering. There are so many other jobs and places you can work. You become ready after a while. You see the dogs walking by and you're like, oh, I want to pet them, I want to play with them, and pretty soon, before you know it, you're working with the dogs.
We're not experts, but we can clean, we can tidy, we can be with the cats.
When you volunteer, you also go out in the community and you say, yeah, I volunteer at the Humane Society, and it's wonderful. So then more people are going to come in and volunteer, or they're going to come in and look at us for the Humane Society for their animals.
But for fostering, it's important, especially with the kittens, because they can get really sick when they're here at the shelter. There's just like there's airborne illnesses for people, which is usually a cold. There's airborne illnesses for cats, and it's usually a cold. So they get really, really sick, and so if we can keep them out of the shelter while their immune system isn't very strong, take them home and help them get strong, then when it's time for adoption, they're not here for very long because everyone wants a cute little kitten, and so they go quickly.
I go on Facebook every day when they post the adoption pictures, and it's like, yay! Kitty was adopted.
Yeah, and that goes for me too. It's just great, especially if the cat's been there for a few weeks, and they finally get adopted and you go, yes.